For my 19th birthday, I decided to get myself a tattoo. Your stunned silence was also my mother's reaction eventually. Because I was 19, I had moved away to college, it was my first semester, I was like, I am free, I'm gonna do what I want, I'm gonna get a tattoo for my 19th birthday. And it was the end of October, so I felt like I had a solid couple of months to sort of workshop how I was gonna pitch it to my mother. But then, of course, my grandmother passed away about 10 days after I got the tattoo, which meant that I was going to fly home for her funeral, which meant that I was going to have to deliver the pitch to my mother about this tattoo a little sooner than I had anticipated. So I called her up, and I'm pretty sure, I'm embarrassed to admit, that I think I opened the conversation with something like, "Now don't get how you get." And other charming quirks of being 19. And she was horrified, and then eventually came to terms with the fact that I had, indelibly marked myself with ink on my body, and then proceeded to do it more than once across my adulthood. But later that same school year, at the end of my freshman year of college, I had gone away to Arizona, and I was coming back to Racine. And it was May, and I was so excited to go back to my childhood home, this place of familiarity after a long year of change and self-discovery and tattoos. And I went in the house, and I discovered that my mother had painted the living room. That living room had been the same color my entire life. And I think you would think that after my experience with the tattoo, I would be so generous with her about the change that she had made to our house. But instead, I think I said something like, "Since when are you the kind of person who has an accent wall?" Oh, to be 19. Oh. Because the truth was that the change that we had both undergone during that year that I had been away was mutual. It was mutual. Anytime we engage in that kind of time apart, that pause in relationship, both parties change. But it can be hard to remember that sometimes. Reverend Christina came back this past Monday from 4 months on sabbatical. And sometimes we talk about sabbaticals as being for the benefit of the minister and their ministry, and it's true. But sabbaticals are also for the congregation. Sabbaticals are for us. They are a pause, a chance to breathe, a chance to discover, are we the kind of people who have an accent wall? Who are we anyway? It's a chance for the congregation to remember who they are, who you are, who we are, separate from any one minister, any one leader. It's an opportunity to breathe. It's an opportunity to set some things down. To acknowledge that not everything we were doing was actually what we want to be doing. To do whatever the organizational equivalent is of shaving half your head. But that's not easy. Or maybe it's easier said than done, to pause. Sometimes life has I think about it, I don't know if any of you have had this experience when you get to a yoga class or something like that, or a meditation session, and then the teacher says, "And now, pull your shoulders away from your ears." And you think to yourself, oh my God, must have been sitting like this for the last 3 weeks. How was I living like this? Oh, there's a lot of space there between your shoulders and your ears, turns out. And a sabbatical is an opportunity for the congregation to do that too. To remember all the space that exists, all that's possible, and all that's not possible, all that we need to set down that's not serving us. And so my hope for this moment, for you all and for Reverend Christina, is that you both remember that the other has been changing for the last 4 months. And I don't think either of you got more tattoos. I mean, maybe some of you got tattoos, I don't know. Over the last 4 months, dramatic haircuts, redecorated your room, gave away all your clothes and bought new ones, and other classic change moment signals in our society. But you have been changing. And so my hope is that you approach this with curiosity rather than, I can't believe you're the kind of person who has an accent wall. Let's be curious together.
So hello again. I am so happy to see you all. I'm so happy to be back. Thank you for the welcomes that I've received so far, and I hope I get to reconnect with you, and whether it's today after the service or another time, I've missed you. I talked during the Wonderbox time about the moon, and what I didn't mention was that during my sabbatical, I had something akin to a mystical experience. When I saw the moon from the alleyway entrance to my host family's house where I was living in Costa Rica. The next morning, when my classmate in my Spanish class asked us if we had all seen the moon the night before, we all agreed, yes, that we had. It was beautiful. And then we began to banter about how no matter where we are on Earth, it's the same moon. Yeah, duh, right? I'm well aware that we only have one moon. But friends, it's the same moon. Like really, no matter where you are on Earth, you look up and you see the same moon. This powerful connection that I felt remembering my own children asleep under that same moon, or the marine biologist that I had met months earlier in Iceland on his boat under the same moon, or the families who are racked by war in Ukraine and Palestine under the same moon that I was under in that alleyway in Heredia, Costa Rica. Travel can help us see the ways that we are different from each other. That's one of the reasons that we travel, is to broaden our experiences and horizons and recognize the differences among each other and celebrate those differences and learn about them, and that's really important. But deep down, when I traveled during my sabbatical, the thing that struck me was actually how similar we are. My husband and I took a trip to Iceland, and then I spent some time in Costa Rica. Those are very different countries, and they're very different from each other, but also from us here in Wisconsin. But the children in Iceland are also bundled up against the cold. And I can imagine them being wrestled into their coats the same way I wrestle my own obstinate children into their coats when they tell me, it's not cold outside. Parents everywhere want to protect their children from the elements. Anywhere on Earth, when people see a baby, they try to make it smile. Right? You're in a restaurant, you look over like, right? Everyone does that, no matter what language you speak, what culture you are. No matter what language we speak, everyone on Earth gets excited by wild animals, especially big ones. My husband and I took a whale watching tour in Iceland, and there was a humpback whale, and every time this whale came up for air, which was like a lot during this like 2-hour tour, every single time, every person on the boat, and they all spoke different languages, every person would go, oh, wow, wow. It doesn't matter what language you speak, whales are exciting. Even Icelandic natives were like parked along the edge of the coast to watch. This is not the first time they've seen a whale, but they were still excited by it. We are deeply connected by our humanness. Our differences are powerful and they should be celebrated, and yet our common humanity is too easily forgotten. We are all children under the same moon. And that is a powerful message that we have for ourselves and also for our wider community, that we can remember and nurture our common humanity. The poet Walt Whitman, in his very, very long poem, The Song of Myself, had a similar mystical experience to the one I had. While mine was inspired by the moon, his was more about grass. I'll let you read the poem for yourself. Whitman's famous line from Song of Myself is, "Do I contradict myself? Very well, I contradict myself. I am large, I contain multitudes." Now, I don't want to get too far afield with Whitman because we're going to actually be spending our entire month of May with the theme, I contain multitudes. So I don't want to steal the thunder from May's theme. But speaking of multitudes, I had forgotten my own. Prior to leaving on my sabbatical, I had begun to heal from a several-month battle with extreme nerve pain that had left me basically debilitated. And honestly, the last 6 years had been a baffling tornado of difficulties, including moving across the country, starting a new job, expanding our family through adoption, including the experience of a devastating adoption loss, surviving a pandemic with 2 little children, multiple illnesses and surgeries. I've been honest with you all that I have a chronic illness, but I had not had surgery since 1999. So I had felt confident that I was done. Didn't need it anymore. But then between 2018 and 2022, I had 8 surgeries. That's a lot. It was not ideal for a successful work-life balance. I felt like a waning crescent moon, just shrinking and dimming. And I was trying to keep myself feeling glorious, but it was hard. And on my sabbatical, I realized the parts of that were of outside of my control and the parts of that were of my own making, and the ways that I could reclaim myself. I had been sick so long, physically and spiritually, that I didn't even realize how bad I felt. Have you ever had that experience of being sick for a while and then all of a sudden you finally get on antibiotics and you're like, man, I didn't even know I felt that bad, right? I met with a lay leader this week who said, I hope if that happens again, you'll let us know. And I said, I didn't know. I didn't know how bad I felt until I didn't feel that way anymore. And the sabbatical allowed me to reclaim parts of myself that had been lost. During my time away, I got to practice being a student in this Spanish immersion program, and I forgot that I really love to learn. After seminary, I was like, I don't ever want to go to a classroom again. But it's been a while, so it was really fun to reclaim that part of myself. I started writing a book. That wasn't on my plans for my sabbatical, but it happened. I was like, wow, I have thoughts. Any of you, if you've had small children, you know that you don't have time for that. But well, look at that, I got thoughts. I played with my children. I went Latin dancing with my classmates in Costa Rica. We played board games. I laughed more than I can remember laughing, probably in the last 3 years combined. I forgot that I'm fun. And I want to be fun. I don't want to be a waning moon. At least not all the time. It's important to have those cycles and seasons, but when it lasts for years, it's time to find a different way. And that is something that the pace of our lives, our culture, our political landscape has the possibility to erode if we aren't careful. I contain multitudes. I have thoughts and ideas and hopes, and I'm creative and I'm fun, and I love to dance and to write and to bake elaborate cakes for my children and to help people find meaning. And you too contain multitudes. What facets of yourself have faded over time? Is there anything about you, about who you are, that you want to reclaim? And how can we as a fellowship be a part of that reclamation? I want to be a part of that for you. Another thing I realized when I was on sabbatical is how our words powerfully impact our reality. We create our realities with the words we say and repeat. So on my sabbatical, I spent 4 weeks in Costa Rica, 3 of them in a Spanish language immersion program, and I fell deeply in love with their culture. I will not lie, I was like Googling real estate. It is incredible. It is so friendly and kind and easygoing. And they have a saying there. It's like their go-to response for everything. It's pura vida, right? And it translates to pure life, or in English, it might be more like life is good. And if someone says, hi, how are you? ¿Cómo estás? You say pura vida. Or they won't even say hi, how are you? They just say pura vida, and you say pura vida. If you pay for your coffee, gracias, the response is pura vida. If you ask someone for directions, after they give them to you, you thank them with pura vida. When your response to everything, all day long, is life is good, it's pretty hard to be cranky and stressed out. It made me think of the kinds of responses that are common in our culture. Help me out here. How are you? Fine. Or like, busy, tired. Yeah. Thank you. Yep. Right? Often we don't even say you're welcome. We're like, sure. Yeah, pura vida. And then I came back from my sabbatical and I was making these vision boards because I'm me, and they're on the wall in my office. You can come check them out. But I was looking through magazines to find the words for these vision boards. And do you know how often the word escape is marketed to us? Like so often. You should create a room in your home with calming curtains to create an escape in your house. Take a spa day as an escape. You should go on vacation with our travel agency as an escape. And what is the underlying context there, friends? What are we escaping from? What? It's a question. You can answer it. Our life. Our actual life, the only one that we are given. The implication is that the lives that we live every day, the homes we live in, the structure of our lives, our work, our family, our caregiving, is something that needs to be escaped from. Now I know, trust me, I know life is not always sunshine and unicorns and rainbows. But forcing myself to pull back and get some perspective made me realize that I don't want to live a life for the next vacation. The poet Mary Oliver says, tell me, what is it that you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? And let me remind you, in that poem, which is entitled The Summer Day, she does not encourage working a whole lot and getting exhausted on the way to material success. That is not her idea. Nor does she suggest lavish vacations and spa days. She encourages calm and observation and presence. She says, quote, "I don't know exactly what a prayer is. I do know how to pay attention, how to fall down into the grass, how to kneel down in the grass, how to be idle and blessed, how to stroll through the fields, which is what I have been doing all day. Tell me," she says, "what else should I have done? Doesn't everything die at last and too soon?" On Sunday, November 3rd, I think it was, my last Sunday before my departure, I told you all that I had been considering my own obituary. We had been doing Memorial Garden stuff, and it seems like a long time ago. But in my pre-written obituary, I had written that I want to be remembered for being a really good mom and having a ministry that mattered. Doesn't everything die at last and too soon? Reverend Macklemore reminds us in his song, "I heard that you die twice, once when they bury you in your grave, and the second time is the last time that somebody mentions your name. So when I leave here on this earth, did I take more than I gave? Or did I look out for other people? Or do it all for fame?" All right, I love Macklemore. I am not ashamed. I adore this song, and I love this music video. It is adorable how he's giving his grandma Helen this magical day. Isn't it adorable? But I don't want to wait till I'm 100 years old to live a life full of joy and memories. And that's what the song Glorious is about. Another morning, a morning won't let self get in my way. I got my breath, I got my faith, and I remember why I came. Woo! I feel glorious, glorious. Every single morning is an opportunity that we can find ways, large and small, to live each day of our lives so that we don't have to escape. Every day is another chance to claim our lives fully. During my sabbatical, I worked with my clergy coach to remember and clarify my core values. Now, my job as your senior minister is to help move us in the direction of our mission, our stated mission and vision, and I'm so excited about that. And I also want to be true to the values that are deep in my heart. And here's my 3 values: connection, meaning making, and fun. And if what we're doing is not actually helping people connect with each other or with our community, if it's not helping us create depth and meaning in our lives, or if it isn't any fun, I don't want to do it. Count me out. So help me. Let's find a way to make everything we do about connection and depth and meaning. And while we're at it, we can also have fun. Fun looks different for everyone. Not everybody wants to be in a dunk tank. But we can laugh together and have joy. We have a vibrant, powerful mission and vision and message to share with our community. We live our UU values, we welcome seekers, we build loving community, and we act courageously for justice. We deserve to live lives where we are able to be seen for who we are, to be full moons more often than not, to be recognized for our multitudes, to be cherished in our wholeness as beautiful children under the same moon, to support each other and to make it possible for everyone to flourish in our common humanity, to connect deeply with each other and with our world, to find and make meaning, and yes, to have fun while we're at it. May it be so, and amen.